All my problems started on that night, the night I forced my wife to watch a horror movie with me. But before I tell you what happened, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoy animated horror stories. I've always been a huge fan of horror movies. Back then, The Nun had just been released, and there were all kinds of rumors online. People claimed that some viewers had experienced strange things after watching it in theaters. Of course, that only made me more curious. That night, my wife and I were staying up late together, and I decided to put the movie on. "What kind of movie is this?" she asked. "You know I hate horror movies." "Why do you always make me watch this stuff before bed?" "So you'll get scared and sleep in my arms," I joked. "Seriously, can we stop watching these movies?" "I didn't realize you were that scared." At the time, I was enjoying teasing her. What I didn't know was that our lives were about to change forever. When the nun first appeared on screen, she didn't scream. She didn't even look away. Her face was full of fear, but her eyes remained wide open. I watched her pupils slowly expand as she stared at the nun's terrifying face. "Honey, are you okay?" Suddenly, her expression changed. The fear disappeared, replaced by a strange seriousness. We watched the rest of the movie in complete silence. Neither of us said a word. When the credits finally started rolling, I could barely keep my eyes open. "Come on," I said. "Let's go to bed." But Jana didn't move. She just sat there staring at the screen. Her eyes were locked on it. Her body remained completely still. It was almost as if the movie had hypnotized her. I nudged her shoulder. "Jana?" "Huh?" "What's wrong, honey? The movie's over. Let's go to bed." "Go to bed?" "Yeah." "Okay." Slowly, she stood up and walked toward the bedroom. Then she slammed the door shut behind her. I frowned. What's wrong with her? Why is she acting like this? I turned off the TV and walked to the bedroom door, but when I tried the handle, it wouldn't open. The door was locked from the inside. "Jana, why did you lock the door?" I knocked, then knocked again. Still no answer. "Jojo, are you mad at me? I'm sorry, okay? We won't watch horror movies anymore. Can you please open the door? I'm exhausted." A few seconds later, I heard her voice. "Leave me alone." The tone of her voice sent a chill down my spine. It was cold, emotionless. For the first time, I felt genuinely guilty. Maybe I had pushed her too far. Maybe I never should have made her watch that movie. I let out a sigh and headed back to the living room. What was supposed to be a romantic night had turned into a complete disaster. Still, I figured everything would be fine in the morning. I'd apologize properly and make it up to her. Honestly, I was so tired I could barely think. "Good night, Jojo," I muttered before lying down on the couch. I don't remember exactly what time it was when I woke up. All I remember was the sound. Heavy breathing. Slow, deep, unnatural. I opened my eyes and looked toward the bedroom. The door was slightly open. A small smile appeared on my face. Finally, I thought, she's not mad at me anymore. I got up and slowly walked toward the room. The bedroom was completely dark. I could barely see anything inside. I waited for Jana to call my name so I could crawl into bed beside her, but instead, there was silence. A strange silence. The kind of silence that makes a house feel wrong. The kind that makes your stomach tighten for no reason. I took another step forward. Then I saw her. Jesus Christ, Jana! What kind of nonsense is this? Who's the scared one now? She was standing right in front of me, completely motionless, staring directly at me. The smile on her face didn't look normal. It wasn't playful. It wasn't funny. It looked wrong. So wrong that it nearly gave me a heart attack. I was about to yell at her for scaring me like that, but before I could say another word, she simply turned around and walked back into the room, calmly, slowly, without saying anything. Then she stopped. Without moving the rest of her body, she slowly turned her head toward me. A cold shiver rushed through my entire body. There was something disturbing about her eyes. She wasn't blinking, not even once. She just kept staring. "Jana, stop messing around." For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she spoke. "Come sleep next to me if you want." And with that, she disappeared into the darkness of the room. This time, she left the door open. I stood there frozen. Something felt wrong, very wrong. A moment later, I noticed she was standing behind the door, watching me. Her face twisted into a horrifying expression. I couldn't understand what was happening. We weren't children. Why was she acting like this? Even though I desperately wanted to sleep in my comfortable bed, I couldn't force myself to walk into that room. The truth was, my wife had scared me, genuinely scared me. Something had changed in her that night, and I couldn't explain it. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of something burning. At the same time, I heard the smoke alarm screaming from the kitchen. I jumped to my feet and ran toward the sound. When I reached the kitchen, I saw a frying pan engulfed in flames on the stove, and standing right beside it was Jana, completely still, not moving, not reacting. "What are you doing, Jana? Are you trying to burn the house down?" I rushed forward, turned off the stove, and grabbed the fire extinguisher. Within seconds, the fire was out, but Jana didn't react, not even a little. She simply stood there staring ahead with the same cold expression, the same empty look, the same complete indifference. And honestly, that made me angry. "Jana, what is wrong with you? Don't you think you're taking this too far? Fine, I know I shouldn't have made you watch that movie, but this is getting ridiculous." Then she slowly looked at me and asked a question I never expected. "Do they pluck a chicken's feathers while it's still alive?" I blinked. "What?" "Do they pluck the feathers while it's alive or after they kill it?" For a moment, I just stared at her. "Jana, what are you even talking about?" She sighed, then shook her head. "I can't stand your nagging anymore. I'm going to take a shower." Without another word, she walked away, just like the night before, cold, distant, emotionless. That's when I started wondering if the movie had somehow affected her mind. I searched online for stories about people behaving strangely after watching horror movies. To my surprise, I found plenty of cases involving severe fear and psychological shock. Not everyone handles horror the same. Some people are more sensitive than others. The guilt started eating at me. I convinced myself that she needed professional help. I decided I would take her to see a psychiatrist. But what happened that night destroyed every explanation I had. That night, I was too afraid to sleep beside her, so once again I lay down on the couch. This time, though, I kept my eyes fixed on the bedroom door. I didn't want her sneaking up on me again. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. I don't remember when. What I do remember was the laughter. A horrible laugh. Low, distorted, nothing like my wife's voice. The sound jolted me awake, instantly, and the moment I heard it, the blood froze in my veins. The laughter echoed through the house, slow, unnatural, almost inhuman. My heart started pounding. Without thinking, I grabbed the first thing I could find to defend myself. 1,000 thoughts raced through my head. Was someone in the room with her? Had she completely lost her mind? Was she possessed? I loved my wife more than anything, but at that moment, I couldn't ignore the fear. I had to be ready in case she tried to hurt me. Slowly, I walked toward the bedroom. Every step felt heavier than the last. My hands were shaking. I reached for the door handle. took a deep breath, and pushed the door open. The room looked like a disaster zone. Furniture was overturned, drawers had been ripped open, clothes were scattered everywhere. It looked like a violent storm had torn through the room. Then I noticed something written on the wall. The words were scratched across it in large, uneven letters. "You are cursed." My stomach dropped. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. Then my eyes drifted toward the window, and that's when I saw her. Jana. Jana, what happened here? Are you okay? Slowly, very slowly, she turned around. And the second she did, every ounce of blood drained from my face. That wasn't Jana. At least, it didn't look like the Jana I knew. Her face looked exactly like the nun from the movie. The same pale skin, the same terrifying eyes, the same horrifying expression. Even the clothes she was wearing looked identical. For one terrible moment, my heart nearly stopped. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even think. All I could do was stare, and in that instant, I became convinced that something had taken control of her. Something evil. Something that should never have entered our home. "No," I whispered. "No, no." My voice cracked. "What have I done, Jana? God, what have I done?"